That night began like all the others, but inside me there was a subtle restlessness, a slimy sensation that crawled under the skin, as if fate was about to reveal a cruel game. I didn't yet know that I was about to cross a threshold from which I would never return. The soft light of the lamp on the bedside table danced on the walls, creating an intimate atmosphere. But something was moving inside me, a subtle restlessness that I still couldn't decipher. For 5 years I had been in a marriage that I believed to be solid, sincere, yet that evening everything was about to change, and I didn't have the slightest idea. Before continuing, subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing, while for us, it is fundamental. Laura appeared restless. Her fleeting gaze betrayed an inner disturbance. After a few moments of hesitation, she found the courage to confess what had been tormenting her for a long time. He felt the need to explore new experiences, and he could no longer hold back that desire. He wanted to try a threesome experience. The words hung heavy in the air, leaving Fabio breathless. It wasn't a common request, and the thought that Laura had thought about it for a long time before speaking about it struck him deeply. When she revealed that the other person had to be Eugenio, her best friend forever, the sense of bewilderment became even more intense. Days passed before Fabio found the courage to face Eugenio. Every meeting with him became a moment full of tension, an unresolved knot that grew more and more. In the end, she decided to invite him to dinner, hoping that an informal setting could lighten the burden of the conversation. After some perfunctory chat, Fabio came forward and spoke openly about Laura's desire. Eugenio, initially incredulous, responded with a nervous laugh, thinking it was a joke. But when he realized the seriousness of the situation, his face became serious. He couldn't help but ask Fabio if he was sure he wanted to take that path, aware that such a decision could put his relationship at risk. Marco, overwhelmed by a storm of conflicting emotions, knew only one thing. He wanted to make Laura happy, even if this meant leaving his comfort zone. After days of reflection, Eugenio accepted, setting precise conditions. Everything had to happen with mutual respect and with the total awareness of each participant. The chosen evening arrived quickly. The three found themselves together in Fabio and Laura's house, trying to create a relaxed atmosphere, even if the tension was palpable. The wine flowed, but the initial conversations felt forced, filled with a nervousness that no one knew how to manage. It was Laura who broke the uncertainty, approaching Eugenio and kissing him sweetly. Fabio felt a pang of jealousy, but forced himself to stifle it. It was for Laura, he repeated to himself. However, as the night wore on, he noticed something that shocked him deeply. On his wife's face there was not only desire, but a special understanding with Eugenio, a bond that seemed to exclude him. From that moment, everything changed. Laura appeared more serene, but a complicity was established between her and Eugenio that Fabio could no longer ignore. It didn't take long to realize that something was different. The emotional distance between him and his wife grew day by day, fueled by stolen glances and unspoken words. When he decided to face her, the suspicion that gnawed at his soul was confirmed. Between Laura and Eugenio there was something deeper, something that went beyond a simple shared experience. Their relationship had turned into something secret and forbidden. Fabio's pain became unbearable, discovering that the attraction between his wife and his best friend had not been born that evening, but was the result of weeks of growing involvement, destroyed him. Disappointment turned to anger when, searching through Laura's things, he found some hidden letters. Those pages overflowed with words of love, revealing an even more bitter truth. Laura and Eugenio had started their clandestine relationship long before the ménage à trois proposal. Everything had been designed to disguise their betrayal under a guise of shared complicity. Anger exploded uncontrollably. Fabioli confronted him, showing him the letters that exposed their lies. The silence that followed was deafening. Laura burst into tears, unable to find words to justify herself. Eugenio, overwhelmed by shame, tried to speak, but Fabio no longer wanted to listen. Trust had been destroyed in the cruelest way possible. After that night, Fabio made an irrevocable decision. He definitively closed the door on that toxic relationship, leaving Laura and Eugenio to deal with their choices. He sold his house and moved to another city, determined to rebuild his life piece by piece. The pain accompanied him for years, but over time he learned to let it go. Not for them, but for himself. Only by accepting the past was he finally able to free himself from the chains of betrayal and live the present fully. It was as if the world I knew was collapsing around me. Everything, every street, every face seemed foreign to me. The city was an expanse of light and shadow with no defined contours in my mind. But inside me I knew one thing. I had to start again. Throwing myself into work was my lifeline, a refuge that allowed me to drown out tormenting thoughts. In the evening, instead of going home to Laura or spending time with Eugenio, I wandered the streets aimlessly. Each alley was a piece of an unknown puzzle that I was trying to decipher. Over time, I began to make new connections, colleagues, neighbors, strangers I met in bars or cafes. Talking to them was like breathing again after a forced apnea. Listening to their stories made me understand that I was not alone, that the pain did not belong exclusively to me. We all carry hidden scars. We all have skeletons in our closets. Among those new acquaintances, one woman stood out more than the others. Anna, strong, confident, with a vibrant laugh and sharp intelligence. Her charm was magnetic, and even though I felt an attraction to her inside, the pain of betrayal was still a poison coursing through my veins. But Anna didn't need explanations. He read inside me without me saying a single word. His silence was understanding, his gaze a refuge. It was she who pushed me, without knowing it, towards therapy. In that moment of extreme vulnerability, I realized that I needed someone to help me put the pieces back together. I found a therapist on the advice of a colleague, and, session after session, I began to unravel the tangle of pain that was suffocating me. I learned to name my emotions, recognize toxic dynamics, and above all, forgive myself for allowing someone else to define my suffering. Forgiveness, such a simple word, but with an unbearable weight. Over time, I began to see a new light at the end of the tunnel. I would never be the same man I was before, but maybe I could be a better version of myself. So it was that, in a sudden rush, I decided to leave. A backpack, a one-way ticket to an unknown place, and the desire to get lost to find myself. I traveled aimlessly, savoring new cultures, immersing myself in experiences I had never had. One night, lying on a lonely shore under a starry sky, I felt that something inside me had finally broken, the connection with the past. I was no longer a prisoner of betrayal. I was no longer the broken man wandering the streets, trying to make sense of the pain. Having returned from my adventure, I felt the need to close accounts with the past. I met Laura and Eugenio in a park at sunset. The sky was ablaze with shades of pink and orange, while a storm of emotions boiled inside me. It wasn't easy to forgive. But in the end I understood that it was the only way to free myself from the weight of resentment. Laura let herself cry, while Eugenio, with his gaze lowered, seemed crushed by the awareness of what he had done. The past could not be changed, but it was possible to choose not to allow it to define the future. In the following months, my life resumed a more serene rhythm. Work became a pleasure, no longer an escape. My heart, which I thought was irreparably broken, began to beat again, faster. Anna was always there, next to me, solid as a rock. Our friendship slowly transformed into something deeper. This time, however, there was no fear. There was no rush to rush ahead, just the sweetness of a feeling that grew naturally. But what does the future really hold for Marco? Leave a like, subscribe to the channel. But let's get back to the story. We traveled together, discovered new places, new passions. The nights were no longer empty and melancholy, but full of energy, of desire, of a complicity that I had never felt before. With her, I discovered again the beauty of intimacy, not only physical, but emotional. With her, I learned to trust again, to let myself go without the fear of being hurt. Meanwhile, my job stopped being just a means of survival. It became an authentic passion, a way to feel fulfilled. I realized that true satisfaction didn't come from success, but from doing what made me feel alive. But the past cannot be buried so easily. One evening, the phone rang. On the display, a name I never thought I'd see again. Eugenio. His voice was grave, filled with an urgency that made my blood run cold. I met him in a cafe, his gaze marked by a concern that I had never seen in him before. His face was tense, his hesitation spoke 1,000 words. After a few moments of silence, he finally found the courage to reveal what was tormenting him. Laura was not well. The weight of that revelation hit me like a sudden blow. He had been having health problems and hadn't known how to tell me. The world around me stopped. The past I thought I had left behind resurfaced in my life with an unexpected blow. Was I ready to discover the consequences? My heart seemed to stop for a moment, suspended in an unreal void. Those words crept into my mind like a slow, relentless poison. Laura, the woman I had loved and who had betrayed me, was facing a battle against something infinitely greater. All the pain, anger, resentment, accumulated over time dissolved in an instant, swept away by that cruel and unexpected revelation. The weight of the news crushed my chest, making every breath labored. I couldn't help but wonder why she hadn't told me, why she had carried all that burden alone. The answer came as a silent whisper: to protect me, to not add more pain to what he had already inflicted. Yet the pain still crept in, digging deep furrows inside me. I found myself at the door of the apartment I once called home. Every heartbeat pounded in my ears like a drum. When the door opened, time seemed to stop. Laura was there, in front of me, but she was no longer the woman I remembered. His face was lined, his hair short and weakened, his skin pale and tight. Yet in his eyes still shone that light that had once captured me. A small voice broken by emotion made its way between his lips, full of deep remorse. I held her in my arms, feeling her fragile, trembling body against mine. Our tears merged, dissolving every resentment, every accusation that remained pending. The betrayal, the pain, the anger, everything dissolved in that desperate embrace, leaving room only for infinite melancholy. We spent hours talking, dissecting the past without any more lies, without any more barriers. Laura told of the sleepless nights, of the fear, of the suffering she had faced alone. It was a fragility that I had never seen in her, a humanity that broke my heart. It was in that moment that I knew I had to put my pain aside and be there for her. Despite everything, despite the past, there was still something inside me that refused to turn my back on her. The love I felt for her was no longer the overwhelming and passionate love it once was, but had transformed into something deeper, more mature. It was the awareness of wanting to be close to her, to support her in that battle. My life changed once again. I began to accompany her to therapies, to be close to her on the worst days, to offer her a silent but constant presence. It was an act of redemption, a way to redeem myself from the past and prove to myself that I could be a better man. Anna, the woman who had become my rock, didn't abandon me in this either. He understood without the need for explanations, accepted my decision, and remained by my side, strong and patient as always. The months passed, and with them, the pain gave way to a new awareness. Forgiveness became a choice, not just for myself, but for all of us. Laura and I stopped hiding behind excuses and omissions. There were no more secrets between us, just a raw and sincere truth. Our relationship transformed into something different, one of respect and mutual understanding. His fight against cancer was not over, but step by step, he began to recover. The body regained strength, its vitality slowly resurfaced. Every little progress was a victory to be celebrated. While Laura fought her battle, Anna and I continued to build our relationship. Without haste, without the need for labels, our bond was solid, grown on the foundations of trust and complicity. The nights with her were intense, full of passion and desire, but also of sweetness and understanding. With her, I had found something that I thought was lost forever, a true, sincere love, capable of welcoming all my nuances, even the darkest and most tormented ones. When Laura went into remission, we decided to celebrate her recovery with a trip, a place far from the chaos, a refuge where you can savor the beauty of life, where every laugh, every smile had a deeper meaning. During that trip, we looked back on past mistakes with a new perspective. His apology was sincere, his remorse tangible. I couldn't change what had happened, but I could choose to let it go. Forgiveness, in the end, was the only possible path. Anna remained by my side, the constant I had never had before. Our love grew stronger, built on solid foundations, without lies, without fears. Over time, we realized we were ready for something more. When I asked her to build a family together, her smile lit up the whole world. It was the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter of hope, of rebirth. Today, looking back, I see every moment as a fundamental piece of my journey. Forgiveness is not weakness, but strength. Pain is not a sentence, but a lesson. Laura and Eugenio are still part of my life, even if in different ways. With them, I found a balance made of respect and well-defined boundaries. Anna, on the other hand, is my certainty, my safe haven, the woman with whom I have chosen to share the future. Life is unpredictable, made up of sudden turns and painful falls, but every step, every scar has contributed to making me the man I am today. And for the first time, I face tomorrow with a light heart, aware that I am ready to welcome everything that comes. And somehow, she would get on with it. If you want to receive new videos of the series, write "I want the sequel" in the comments. If you like the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel to receive a preview of future publications. Thank you.